We talked a lot about John, obviously, and we saw how the passages that they'll quote against us can be actually turned against them. Now, what I want to also do is demonstrate how you can also turn the objections against them anytime they seek to quote the Bible to prove that Muhammad is prophesied in the Scriptures. Although not directly related to the Trinity, it ends up confirming the Trinity anyway. For example, you'll have Muslims who will cite Deuteronomy 18, and they will argue passionately that in Deuteronomy 18, the prophet, like Moses, is Muhammad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, that same book of Deuteronomy, again, ends up proving that Muhammad cannot be a prophet like Moses. For instance, can you be a prophet like Moses and contradict the theology of Moses?
Nope.
Can you be a prophet like Moses and contradict the theology of Moses?
Nope.
Okay, and the Bible tells us, Deuteronomy tells us what it means to be a prophet like Moses. Deuteronomy 34:10-12. Deuteronomy 34:10-12. Since then, there has not arisen a prophet in Israel like Moses. Deuteronomy 34:10-12. Whom Yahweh knew face to face. See, here it tells you what it means to be a prophet like Moses. No prophet like Moses from the time that Moses died. Whom Yahweh knew face to face. And all the signs and wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, to all his servants, and to all his land. And by all that mighty power and by all the great terror which Moses displayed in the sight of all Israel. So to be a prophet like Moses, you have to know Yahweh intimately, face to face, and you have to do the miracles that Moses did, or miracles similar to the miracles that Moses did. Number one, the Quran itself denies that Muhammad did miracles like Moses. The Quran itself denies this. Do me a favor, Jonathan, go to chapter 28, verses 48 to 49 of the Quran. Chapter 28, verse 48, 49, specifically verse 48.
Okay.
So, number one, remember what the criteria was. To be like Moses, you have to know God face-to-face intimately and do miracles like Moses did. So 28, 48.
It says, but when the truth came to them from us, that they said, why has he, that's the messenger, not been given a book similar to what Musa or Moses had been given?
Now, unfortunately, your translation is a distortion. It says book.
It doesn't say book
is that what
in
it
Arabic.
Says? Why has he not been given?
Yeah, book's in parentheses.
No, it doesn't.
In Arabic, yeah.
Yeah, forget the book.
Yeah.
It says, why hasn't he been given what was given to Moses?
Yeah.
So for some reason the translator inserted the word book. That's not what it's saying. They're asking him for signs, and they're saying, why hasn't he been given that which was given to Moses? That's what it says. What was given to Moses? Read that verse again.
But when the truth came to them from us, they said, why has he not been given similar to what Musa had been given? Is it not that they denied what Musa had been given before? They said, both are works of magic that support each other. And they said, we disbelieve each one of them.
Mm-hmm. And then 49, what does Muhammad say?
They bring a book from Allah, which is better than both in guidance, and I shall follow it if you are true.
Now, truthful. Let me explain what Muhammad is saying. They're saying, give us a sign like Moses was given to show that you're a prophet. Muhammad's response is, well, the people at Moses' time saw many signs, but they still rejected it. And so then they respond, look, we reject your book and Moses' book. We're disbelievers in both. So then Muhammad says, well, if you disbelieve in my book and in the book of Moses, then bring a book that contains better guidance than either of these two books. Now, Rudolph and Jonathan, help me understand this. Muhammad at his time, the unbelievers at the time of Muhammad is telling him, where are your signs like Moses? And he says, well, even if I had signs like Moses, you wouldn't believe, because when Moses showed up and did signs, they rejected him too. And then they say to him, we neither believe in your book or the book of Moses. And then Muhammad says, well, if you reject my book and Moses' book, then bring a book that contains better guidance than either of these two. Why would Muhammad be defending the book of Moses in circulation at his time if, as Muslims claim, that book is so corrupted that it contains misguidance? Why is he defending it?
He's a false
prophet. Well, the reason why is because Muhammad didn't think the scriptures in the hands of the Jews and Christians were corrupted. That's the point. Yeah. Because does it make sense for him to defend the book of Moses that these unbelievers are rejecting? That means whatever that book was, they had access to it because they're rejecting it. So we won't follow it or your Quran. And he says, okay, if that's the case, bring a book that contains better guidance than either one of them. For the life of me, I don't understand how Muhammad could be defending the Torah at his time, the Torah in the possession of the Jews of his day, if, as Muslims tell us, this book is full of atrocities and genocide, and condones rape, just like Yusuf Ismail tried to demonstrate in his debate against James White. Why then is Muhammad defending it? If anything, he should be siding with the unbelievers, saying, yeah, you're right. The book of Moses used to be true, but they corrupted it, and therefore it misguide you, so follow my Quran. That's not what he does. He goes, bring a book that contains better guidance than either my Quran or the book of Moses, presupposing that the book of Moses was still in existence at the time of Muhammad, and that Muhammad was a believer in it. He didn't believe it had been corrupted. So much for the argument that Muhammad taught the corruption of the text of Scripture. But I have much more evidence for that. Maybe in a future session, Lord willing, we'll get into that. But here's the point. Muhammad clearly denies the ability, that he had the ability to do the signs that Moses did. Because notice what they asked him? Why hasn't it been given to him what was given to Moses? And his response is, well, what's the point? When Moses came with those signs, people rejected it. That's what you're going to do. In other words, he fails part of the criteria. What was the criteria in Deuteronomy 34? In Deuteronomy 34, the criteria was, to be a prophet like Moses, you need to know Yahweh face to face in an intimate relationship and do signs like Moses did. Well, Muhammad did not do signs like Moses did, so he fails in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, the second area where he fails, remember, they're quoting Deuteronomy 34. Well, in Deuteronomy 14, verse 1, this is what we're told about God's relationship to the children of Israel. The very book that they're quoting to prove that Moses predicted the coming of Muhammad, notice what that book teaches about God's relationship to his people. Deuteronomy 14, verse 1. You are the sons of Yahweh your God. You are the sons of Yahweh your God. Muhammad says, no, you're not. Chapter 5, verse 18. You Jews, you're not the sons of God. Neither are you Christians. But Moses, in the very book that the Muslims are quoting to prove that Moses predicted the coming of Muhammad, Moses says, you are the sons of Yahweh your God. You shall not cut yourselves or make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Wow. Deuteronomy 32, verses 18 to 20. Now, you remember the Quran says, Lam yalad wa lam yulad? He neither begets nor is begotten. Right? But lo and behold, Moses says in that very book, Deuteronomy 32, 18 to 20, you have forgotten the rock who begot you. You've forgotten the rock who gave birth to you. You're unmindful and have forgotten the God who gave you birth. So Moses says, no, Muhammad, you're wrong. He does beget, albeit spiritually, not physically. Because Israel are the spiritually begotten children of God, whom God gave birth to, spiritually speaking, metaphorically speaking, not physically, not biologically, not sexually. And then notice what he says in 19 to 20. When Yahweh saw it, he despised them because of the propagation of his sons and daughters. Now, Rudolph and Jonathan, I'm not, the brightest, the sharpest tool in the shed, right? As some of the Muslims like to say, the highest education I got is a GED. So help me understand what I just read. How can Muhammad be the prophet like Moses when that very book that they quote from, Moses states quite emphatically that Israel is the son of God, that God fathered them, gave birth to them spiritually, so that Yahweh is a father to Israel, something which Muhammad says is not true because his God is a father to no one. How then can Muhammad be the prophet like Moses? Can you help me understand that logic?
That's an absolute contradiction.
So then why is it our Christian apologists, when they debate the Muslims, don't use this line of argumentation in their debates? This is what baffles me. I mean, you can so decisively win the debate and demonstrate even to the Muslims how nonsensical it is to appeal to the Bible to prove Islam if you just follow this line of argumentation. So why is it our Christian brothers and sisters don't use it? At least the only ones I know that use it is David Wood, because again, we've been on the same show, so we use the same kind of argument. But rarely do I find any of my other Christian brothers and sisters using this line of argumentation, because this is quite devastating in a debate if you know how to use it. Don't you agree, Rudolph?
No, I absolutely agree.
This is why I encourage my brother Jonathan. He's going to be in South Africa. I encourage him highly to use this method. And if he uses it, it will be devastation. It's not so much because we want to win the argument, but we want to shake the very foundation of the Muslims, rock their foundation, so that they'll be so shaken at the very core of their being, they'll now be open into considering the message of Christ more seriously. The analogy I like to use is the analogy of Jericho. In order for them to take that military base captive and destroy it, they had to bring its walls down, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had to bring the walls of Jericho down. Well, we have to bring down the walls of Islam in order to take captive the hearts of the Muslims. Because these are huge walls that stand between us and their hearts. But by the power of the Holy Spirit, we need to bring those walls down and take their hearts captive and their minds, make it obedient to the Lordship of Christ. And this is the way to do it. Not because I'm trying to sell you something. I'm not. I'm not going to get any proceeds from this. But I want us to be the most effective witnesses as we reach Muslims and other groups for the glory of Christ. Let me give you another prophecy. Unless you want me to stop. Let me know when you want me to stop, you guys.